So if you watch my channel throughout the years, that you will know that I am not the biggest fan at all of Blueface or Krishan Rock. In fact, I really do blame Blueface for exposing Krishan to fame and the chaos that has happened and the things that's happening with her son. I feel like he's a very large part of it. With that being said, though, the one positive thing I can say about Blueface is that he tends to care about his kids. Even when he was unsure with the baby with Krishan, he still showed that baby respect and love, and I can respect that about a man. Even though Blueface is not perfect, and I did name an example of something he was right about, it seems like lately he's on a journey of self healing. That looks different for everybody, but he had a conversation with his mom that made it sound like he's been to therapy. He's trying to do a work by having a conversation with his mom. But instead of his mom being receptive to it, it sounded like she was more being deflective, argumentative, and just doing some blaming. But before that, let's go ahead and see how Blueface interacts and views his dad.
What?
What the heck are you doing here? What are you doing here?
I'm so happy to see him.
What? So random.
What?
I'm dad out here working.
You ain't getting high on the pavement, baby. Y'all doing chilling?
Yeah, we look at doing some apartment hunting. What you doing? Dropping off a package?
Yeah, delivering, baby.
All right.
You know,
What the heck?
That's so.
And that's the thing. He shows so much love for his dad. And when you look at his eyes, it looks very genuine. Here's the thing. But his interaction with Karlissa recently is very much different. Let's go ahead and go into that and see how this shows how Karlissa is a very large part to blame of how Blueface turned out and how he treats women because of what he's seen and experienced with his own mother.
What's false is that you think things that do not matter to me today matter more than the trauma that you caused by being the way you are.
Okay, tell me what trauma. What trauma did you have?
Watching you domestically violently have altercations with your kids and multiple men.
What multiple
I would
men
rather be in an I would rather be in a tent
Tell the chat what
than
multiple
to watch
men.
my mom.
And I really do hate that. And not just with Karlissa, but just in women or people in general. You call them out on something that has happened. And instead of them taking ownership of it, they play dumb. And they want you to explain what's going on to know what details they could try to defend. It's more like they ask you, what are you talking about? So they could try to remember what you may talking about, try to anticipate it. And that way they try to form defense. Instead of listening, have a conversation. To me, when I hear her saying, what are you talking about? What men? That's her trying to formulate a defense and buying time. I don't like that. I don't know how often Blueface expresses himself. It seems like it may be a very rare thing, but if your son is telling you, hey, I didn't like this, I must have been in a tent outside, then maybe listen. Maybe this is the course that he needs to be heard so that he can actually treat women better instead of dog walking them all the time.
Mom and his daughter fight a man that my mom is laying down with.
Help. That's why you.
Why would I?
It's okay. We didn't need your help.
I was 9 years old.
It don't fucking matter, nigga. If you was 3, you was supposed to help.
What? How about not being in the situation to where your son will need to put hands on another man that's putting hands on you? It's called choosing better. Now, Karlissa was an attractive woman, so I'm sure she attracted a lot of men. And sometimes when you attract a lot of men, you get a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. So I can't put that 100% on her, but there are signs. And at the sign of the first violent overreaction or even the first hit, let it go. Move away, move on, get your son, or sons, excuse me, and your daughter, and just move out, move on, and let it go. So that way, Blueface can see that something like that is not okay. Instead of them seeing that that's apparently happened a regular occasion to where it stuck with him. If it was a one-time situation where there was just a hit and then you left, cool. It'll probably be a lot different dynamic. But if he sees his mama get hit and she fights back, he thinks that's normal more than likely. And he thinks that's how relationships should be. So when he get into these confrontations with Krishan, well, that's what he learned what love is. That's what he learned what a relationship is. It's from his mother.
You want a 9-year-old to help you fight a
Jonathan,
grown man.
all I'm asking you,
and that's why I evaluate my dad the way I do. Because listen to you,
Jonathan,
I ain't never had to fight nobody for my dad. I've never had
your dad
to
shot a gun in the air.
compromise myself at 9 years
Are
old
you okay?
to fight somebody for my dad.
Okay?
My dad is responsible and grown enough to.
You heard that, right? Where she said that your dad shot a gun in the air. I can't tell if she said at me or just before, but either way, though, we don't know the story or the background with that. And if Karlissa was out here fighting men, who knows? All I'm going to say is that he shot it up in the air and not at her, probably try to scare her away. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that we don't know all the details. But instead of focusing on what he's saying about her and what she has done, she is sitting here deflecting and trying to put it like, well, your dad did this. Who cares what his dad did? Him and his dad clearly made an amends at one point in time or talked it out like he's trying to do with you. So why not just be receptive and listen?
Not put his child in that predicament. What are you talking about?
Did you say he robbed you?
Look how she talk about a 9-year-old, chat. But did you help us? I'm 9 years old. Wow, what can I do? You want me to hit the nigga like this?
Yes.
Get off my mommy.
If somebody's trying to fight your mom,
Man,
yes, that's what you're mad about. We didn't need your help, though. We didn't need your help. And that altercation was not me or Janice's fault. That was somebody who decided to
You said it was Janice's fault.
No, I said she did not take no shit when she could have. She could have just sat there and been quiet. But when it turns out he went to jail because he was intoxicated, right? And we did not know that.
Okay.
So why did But you knew that already, so why did you lie to the chat? And who else did I have a domestic violence?
So why did this happen again?
Hold on, you said multiple men, nigga. Tell the chat who else I had a domestic violence.
I would like to think that one should be enough. But what she's trying to do is, I know it's a tactic, you put pressure on somebody so that way they can't remember what they said or they can't remember all the people. When you put people in a public situation, you put pressure on them when they're trying to voice their opinion on something, they tend to forget. And that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to manipulate the situation. Again, she's not trying to have an honest conversation with him. Again, Blueface is not perfect, but if he's seen his mom get smacked around and she stayed, then of course he's going to do the same thing.
Because me and my sugar daddy ain't never had a domestic violence, never in your life, and you know it. Not once. Not even an argument in 20 years, and we are still best friends to this day.
Well, that's the first part. And here's the other video, too, I saw.
Your dad was anything but an illegal immigrant, so she couldn't pipe up. I'm a black bitch who get to the bag. I can I want to, when I want to, and how I want to. Has that not been... Have I not cashed my own checks?
No.
Did I not teach you how to cash checks?
Sound like you've been enabled for too long.
Enabled? You're Jonathan.
You're making excuses for
you're.
I don't know what you mean by cash your own checks, but let's be real here. If I remember correctly, Karlissa said she was a video woman at one point in time, I think. I could be wrong about that, but I could have swore she said that because I remember her saying she had a lot of famous people trying to talk to her at one point in time. And again, I can believe it because back in the day, she was a very attractive woman. But whenever you have those situations where you have the domestic going on and you see your mom having men in and out, because let's be real here, it's very rare for a woman who works in the video industry field just to have one man. It impacts how a young man thinks and views women. And that's why I've never been a fan of single moms that trash the dads. Yes, there are plenty of dads out there that ain't ish. I know it. I've seen it 100%. However, though, if you're going to be a single mom, you need to be a much better person and let go of your natural instincts. If your natural instincts is to stay, if there's a domestic violence situation to go, maybe you should change that mindset because it's not just you. It's your sons or sons seeing that, and it's going to have a one reaction. You're going to emulate what they saw their mom endure to their women, or they're going to go direct opposite route and then overly, I don't like saying simp, but submit to their woman to where they'll never make her upset. It creates a extreme unhealthy dynamic in relationships on both ends. But instead of, again, acknowledging it and just have a conversation so you can try to grow, learn, and maybe do better, she's playing the victim and deflecting. And sometimes the worst antagonist is a victim.
First of all,
for your
back
daughter.
to square one, like you was doing her.
You're making
when did your daddy
for
give you
your
a room?
daughter.
When did you have a room at your daddy's
Fighting
house?
your husband.
Make an excuse. She just fought my last husband. She just fought my husband the other day.
You know, you see what happened. I was mentioning before. She was putting pressure on him, saying what multiple men that have domestic issues with. Now, she didn't say her and her most recent husband got into domestic, but her daughter and her husband did. I don't see a reason for the daughter really to jump like that unless something was going on with the mom.
Don't walk away.
That means that you haven't learned, and 53 years of living, you haven't learned anything.
What? I haven't learned anything.
And you know why you haven't?
No
You know why you haven't learned anything?
Yeah.
Because no one ever corrected you about the mistakes you made. That's
Jonathan, how many domestic
you just you're trying to validate your kids
have you had?
Fighting your.
And that is a fair question. How many has he had? But he's talking about you. Maybe this is his healing journey. But the question is, how many have you had?
How many domestic violence?
How do you think that these things?
When you guys are so spoiled that you want what you want,
so
you want your way.
It's our fault. It's your kid's fault that you have domestic violence.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. Now, I will say this. Stepkids are very challenging. Because let's say if a woman has multiple kids, let's say she has 2 kids. One kid can like you and another kid cannot stand you. That's just the way it works sometimes. Now, let's say if it's 3 kids, 2 kids may not stand you. One can like you. One could be indifferent and don't care. One likes you, wants your attention. One wants you to go away and going to try to do everything they can. But here's the thing about that. That only happens when the mother does not have control of their kids. If the mother or the other father of the single parent has control of their kids, meaning having a right discipline and structure with them, that shouldn't be an issue. But she's sitting here blaming kids for her lack of parenting. And that's something I would never get down with. Again, Blueface is not the best man out there. But when you hear stuff like this, you kind of understand why he is the way he is. Granted, again, he's a grown man. He can make a choice to do better. But damn, with a mother like that, I'm surprised he's doing as well as he is.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
Was you not there? You too old for me to teach you any life lessons. So
you can't
I'm gonna let you
teach
talk.
me shit.
Exactly.
You can't teach me shit. All you could do is your dad with any.
So that's all I have for this. I just thought when I saw those clips, it was very interesting. Karlissa was like that. And, I will say I have seen some moments of Karlissa that was good. Like when she was disciplining Blueface's daughter. I forgot what the little girl's name was, but she was yelling at Karlissa. I think she would try swinging at Karlissa, and Karlissa gave her a butt whooping and told her no. And you know what? I like that. And the reason I like that is it's showing structure that you need to respect your elders and your adults. Not necessarily a little girl got spanked, but somebody was trying to discipline and show her a better way. And unfortunately, if you didn't do the best job with your kids, the next best thing is to make sure your grandkids are better off. Anyways, that's my thoughts and opinions. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think. Have a good day.